everyone, welcome back. What really happened during the 56 days that dozens of teachers and school children spent in the forest after they were abducted from their schools in Oyo State? For weeks, Nigerians prayed, families waited anxiously, and security agencies intensified efforts to bring the victims home alive. Now, one of the survivors has finally broken her silence. In an emotional account, Mrs. Olamo Folawi, the principal of Community High School, Ahuro Esiele, has revealed the terrifying reality of life inside the kidnappers' camp, describing how fear, uncertainty, and psychological torture became part of their daily lives. Most painfully, she disclosed that 2 of their colleagues were killed during the ordeal. Mrs. Folawi spoke during the official handover of the rescued pupils and teachers to the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde by the Nigerian Army. Standing before government officials, after surviving nearly 2 months in captivity, she thanked God for preserving their lives while remembering the colleagues who never made it back home. Her testimony provided one of the clearest accounts yet of the suffering endured by the victims during the weeks they spent deep inside the forest. According to the principal, what began as an ordinary school day quickly turned into a nightmare. She recounted that there was no warning that armed men would suddenly invade the schools, forcing teachers and pupils into the surrounding forest. Within moments, normal classroom activities had given way to confusion, fear, and panic as the captives were marched away by their abductors, uncertain of what lay ahead. Before we continue, let's hear directly from the rescue principal. Watch what she had to say, and we'll continue with the report.
Mr. Make was killed on the second day we got there, but Dikin was killed on the first Sunday of June. The first Sunday of June. They killed them purposely because they felt that would force the hand of the government to give them whatever they want. We have scars already. We believe with time we will heal. All we want to say is thank you very much to everybody, especially the officers, the governor, the president.
Mrs. Folawi explained that the victims eventually found themselves deep inside the forest, completely cut off from their families and the outside world. Every passing day brings fresh uncertainty. According to her, none of the captives knew whether they would even return home alive. The fear was constant, and the uncertainty became one of the greatest challenges they faced throughout their captivity. The principal described the experience as one filled with emotional and psychological suffering. She said the captives lived each day under the constant threat of violence. Every movement by the kidnappers created fresh anxiety, while every conversation among the armed men left the victims wondering whether another tragedy was about to unfold. According to her, survival depended largely on remaining calm and holding on to hope despite overwhelming fear. One of the most disturbing parts of her testimony involved the psychological pressure allegedly used by the kidnappers against the victims. According to Mrs. Folawi, the abductors repeatedly tried to convince them that they had been abandoned. They allegedly told the teachers and pupils that the government no longer cared about them and that nobody was making any effort to rescue their release. She said the kidnappers constantly repeated those messages in an apparent effort to destroy the captives' morale. According to the principal, the abductors wanted the victims to believe there was no hope of rescue and that their lives no longer matter. She explained that hearing those statements repeatedly was emotionally exhausting because many of the captives desperately wanted reassurance that someone was still searching for them. Despite the relentless psychological pressure, Mrs. Folawi said many of the victims refused to surrender hope. She recalled that what kept them going was the belief that people across Nigeria were praying for their safety. Although they had no access to news or communication with their families, they remained convinced that loved ones and well-wishers had not forgotten them. According to the principal, that hope became one of the strongest sources of strength during captivity. She said every day they encouraged one another to remain strong, believing that one day they would leave the forest and return home. Even when conditions became increasingly difficult, many of the captives continued encouraging each other not to give up. Mrs. Folawi also made a heartbreaking revelation about the deaths of 2 members of the group. According to her, the kidnappers deliberately killed 2 teachers in an attempt to pressure the government into meeting their demands. She described the killings as one of the most traumatic moments of this entire ordeal, saying the remaining captives were devastated by the loss of their colleagues. The principal's account suggests that the killings had a profound emotional impact on everyone who remained alive. Watching colleagues lose their lives left many of the captives terrified that they could be next. According to her, every day after that became even more frightening because nobody knew whether the violence would continue. Although Mrs. Folawi did not provide additional operational details about the circumstances surrounding the deaths, her testimony has renewed public attention on the human cost of the kidnapping. While the successful rescue of the remaining victims has been widely celebrated, her account serves as a reminder that not every family experienced a joyful reunion. The rescue operation eventually brought the long ordeal to an end after security agencies secured the release of the surviving pupils and teachers. Their return was welcomed with relief across Oyo State, where families, religious organizations, and community leaders had spent weeks praying for their safe return. The successful operation also marked the conclusion of one of the state's most closely followed kidnapping cases. Following their rescue, the victims were reunited with government officials before receiving medical attention and psychological support. Experts say survivors of prolonged captivity often require ongoing counseling because the emotional effect of kidnapping can continue long after physical freedom has been restored. The experiences described by Mrs. Folawi illustrate the lasting psychological impact such incidents can have on victims. The kidnapping also reignited concerns about the security of schools across Nigeria. Parents, teachers, and education stakeholders have repeatedly called for stronger measures to protect schools from criminal attacks. Many believe children should not have to fear attending school, while educators should be able to carry out their responsibilities without worrying about becoming targets of violent crime. Security analysts have similarly warned that attacks on schools produce consequences extending far beyond the immediate victims. Such incidents often disrupt education, force schools to close temporarily, create lasting trauma among children, and discourage parents from sending their children back to classrooms. Restoring public confidence therefore requires not only rescuing victims, but also strengthening preventive security measures. For Mrs. Alamu Folawi, however, the memories of those weeks in captivity will remain with her for a long time. Although she expressed gratitude for surviving the ordeal, she also made it clear that the pain of losing colleagues cannot easily be forgotten. Her testimony reflects both relief at returning home, and sorrow for those whose lives were cut short. As investigations into the kidnapping continue, many Nigerians hope the survivors' accounts will help authorities better understand what happened inside the kidnappers' camp and strengthen future rescue operations. Their experiences may also provide valuable information capable of supporting ongoing investigations aimed at identifying and prosecuting everyone responsible for the attack. The rescued principal's testimony stands as one of the most powerful reminders of the emotional suffering endured by the teachers and pupils during their 56 days in captivity. It is a story of fear, resilience, faith, and survival, but also one marked by heartbreaking loss, while the surviving victims have finally returned home. They now face the difficult journey of healing from an experience that will likely remain with them for the rest of their lives. For more updates and in-depth analysis, stay with us on News Express. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.